Well, hey there, and welcome to Life Verse 101. I'm going to try to help you out with putting together a life verse. We call it a project, but it's not really a project. Here's the deal, kind of old school Lutheran. On your confirmation day, the pastor would put the whammy on you and give you a life verse. And that's really nice and really cool. The problem is the pastor would pick it out, and if in my case he did that to me, I don't even remember what the verse was. And I'm hoping that you pick a verse that you like that will guide you for the rest of your life. And so you should have a packet of information. And if you don't have that, come see me and we'll get you a packet so that you can figure out how to do this little project, and you'll be all set for testimony and pepperoni night. The first thing you need to know is what is a life verse, and that's the first page of the packet. And I thought about this, and it should be just a verse that kind of speaks to you, hits you, a verse that you love. It should be a verse to guide you for the rest of your life, a verse that you can commit to memory, a verse that calls you to be your best, and a verse that really maybe even describes your personality. I don't know, but it's a verse that you just really just kind of dig for some reason. I picked up a life verse for myself about 30 years ago, and I saw it and I went, whoa, I just love that verse. And it was Joshua 22 verse 5, which is, love the Lord, follow his plans for your life, cling to him, and serve him enthusiastically. Now that's what I want. I want to be that. I want to love the Lord, and I want to follow his plans instead of my dumb ideas, and I want to hold on to him, cling to him, and I want to serve him with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength, which means enthusiastically. And so on every little note card I write to people, a thank you card or maybe a card of encouragement, I always write that verse out at the very top of it, Joshua 22:5. I just love that verse, and it's not the verse that I've mastered by any stretch, but it's the verse that keeps calling back to me. And so I want a verse that does the same for you, a verse that you will treasure for the rest of your life. So I gave you this big, long, there's about, I don't know, it looks like 300 life verses. You don't have to pick one off of this page, these pages. But I just kind of went through the Bible and picked my 300, classics. And you might find one in here that speaks to you. This is probably the hardest part of the whole assignment, is actually choosing a life verse. But you have, a little bit of time to do that. And once you have figured that out, I would like you to put your full name on this piece of paper. That includes your middle name as well. If your name is, you go by Chuck, but your real name is Charles, I want you to put your real name on the piece of paper, your given name. So for me, it would say Charles Scott Schlee, because this is what we're going to use to type up your confirmation certificate. So then, following, I would like you to write out your life verse and where it is found in the Bible. So and use correct spelling, use correct punctuation. When there's a comma, put the comma. When there's a period, put the period. Make it nice and neat so that who's ever typing it up will be able to read your writing. So, Charles Scott Schlee. Love the Lord and follow his plan for your life. Cling to him and serve him enthusiastically. Joshua 22 verse 5. That's the first step of the project, which might be the very toughest thing to do. But let's say you found a life verse and you turned in your blue piece of paper. Good for you. Now it's time to do the project. The project is a two-part deal, okay? You've got the research part, and then part two, which is the testimony part, kind of like an essay or a speech. You can't write the essay or the speech part because you're going to use the research that you already learned about this verse and kind of include maybe part of it or some of it in your speech or your testimony. So we got to take care of part 1 first before we get to part 2. And what you do, you turn to this green piece of paper that says all the instructions on it. And step 1, here we go. Type out. Oh, so you got to type the thing. Yeah, please, let's type it out. Let's use 12-point font, and let's double space the thing. Okay? Yeah, but that's not a deal breaker for me. But the first thing you do is put your name at the top of the paper so I know who it is. Type out your verse. So you wrote it on this blue paper, now type it out. Love the Lord and follow His plans for your life. Cling to Him and serve Him enthusiastically. Joshua 22, verse 5, period. There we go. Wow. Step 1, done. Step 2, I want you to come up with a paragraph, one paragraph that describes the book of the Bible in which your life verse is found. Now, just so you know, I have put together an example for you to follow, an example of the research. You can see part 1, and it has number 1. The life verse is written out here. Number 2, here you go. It's one paragraph which describes the book of the Bible in which your life verse is found. So for the example, it says the life verse is Isaiah 43, verse 1. Fear not, I have redeemed you, I've called you by name, you are mine. Oh, what a great verse. Now, the paragraph for step 2 then should be, what is a description of the book of Isaiah? All right? Now, you don't have to be as churchy as this, but you want to say, hey, the book of Isaiah is about this prophet of God. His name is Isaiah, and he talked to God's people about warning them about their sin, and they shouldn't bow down to idols and false gods. And Isaiah is known as the greatest prophet, and there's 66 chapters in the book of Isaiah. And this is an Old Testament book, and the first bit of Isaiah is all about the doom and the judgment that's coming, and the second half of Isaiah is all about God's grace and how He is going to rescue them. Well, how do you find out about what's in the book of the Bible that your life verse is from? Well, one thing you can do is read the whole book. Now, Isaiah, that's a really long book, so I don't know if I'd read the whole book, because unless you have time for that. That's great. Now, maybe if you have a shorter book of the Bible, like 1 John, that only has 4 chapters. You could easily do that. But this is called a Concordia Self-Study Bible. You might not have a Concordia Self-Study Bible, but you got this thing called the computer. Excuse me. And you can just Google that thing out. What is the book of Isaiah about? Or what is the book of 1 John about? But if you have one of these Concordia Self-Study Bibles, hey, there's an answer for you, because at the beginning of each book, it has a description. Here's what this book is about. Whoa, yeah, it tells you what it's about. I will let you borrow mine. Or if you come to me and say, Pastor, could you give me a photocopy of that page that describes the book of the Bible? I'm going to do, let's say, Matthew. Could you copy that page for me? I would be glad to do that for you. You see, here's the thing. I'm here to help you. Wait, you. Yeah, I want to help you. So if you get stuck along the way with this thing, please ask me. I'm a good guy most of the time, but I will be happy to help you and get you going. So I'll make copies for you, and what I want you to do, though, is not just write down what this says. I already know what this says. I want you to put it in your own words. Use normal language, okay? I'm not graded on grammar and punctuation or English. It's not an English paper. It's a do you know what this book of the Bible is about paper, all right? Where you found your life verse. So that's number 2. Step 1, write down your life, type out your life verse. Step 2, give me a paragraph about the book of the Bible in which your life verse is found. Easy peasy. Step 3. Now, this gets to be a little more exciting to me. Write out a paragraph about the chapter in which your life verse is found. The life verse in the example is Isaiah 43, verse 1. So the paragraph is going to be a summary of the chapter 43 of Isaiah. That means you have to read the whole chapter. Yeah, you should. Read the whole chapter of Isaiah and then kind of go, okay, what's going on in this chapter? And then write about that. One paragraph, just one paragraph. In this example, it says chapter 43 is found in the second half of Isaiah's book. Under the heading, the Book of Comfort, it's about God, blackout. It's about God rescuing his people, all right? And you just want to say that God's telling his people not to fear, to be strong, and stick with him. All right, that's a good summary of a chapter. So you got verse 1, or step 1, which is the verse. Step 2, a description of the book of the Bible. Step 3, a description of the chapter in which your life verse is found. Hey, moving along. Step 4. I love this part. In this section, you are to find, it's called cross-referencing. So you pick out a key word or words of your life verse. The example is Isaiah 43, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name, and you are mine. Some key words would be fear, redeemed, be called, or name. And what you want to do, if you got an old school Bible like this, you go way in the back, it's called a concordance, and you look up the word, let's say, called. And sure enough, you find that there's a whole bunch of other places in the Bible in which you can find the word called in different sections of the Bible. And then you write down those 5 other places, the whole verse. So for the example, I got the word fear. I'm going off this orangey paper. Fear. Psalm 23, verse 4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Here I found another verse that talks about redeemed. Galatians 3:13. And you just do 5 of those. Now, here's something you could do. Go to Bible Gateway. Bible Gateway, just type in the word. One of the big words of your life verse. Maybe it's called, name, redeemed, fear. You type that in, and it will spit out a whole bunch of other verses in which that word is found. You find 5 of those, and you type them out, okay? That's step 4. This is pretty easy if you ask me. 1, type out your life verse. 2, a descriptive paragraph about the book of the Bible in which your life verse is found. 3, a descriptive paragraph about the chapter in which your life verse is found. Step 4, find 5 different places in the Bible that has a key word that is connected to your life verse. And then you get to step 5 of part 1, the research. Step 5 is a paragraph which just describes why you are thinking about this verse, why you picked this verse to be your life verse to guide you. What is it about this particular verse that is meaningful to you personally? Why do you like it? Just start talking about the parts that jump out to you that you think are really cool about this verse. You see, you've done a little study, and now you're going to add a little of the heart to it. All right, so far it's been a lot of brain work, and now we're going to start talking a little bit about the heart. You have just completed part 1 of the project. You've finished the research. Now, step 2 or part 2, this is the testimony part. And I have put together on the yellow piece of paper what I did this myself, so it's kind of churchy. Yours doesn't have to be as churchy. And it's I don't know, how long is it? It should be, let's go back to the green piece of paper, and that's on the other side now. So it says part 2 testimony. If you want to kind of think about a title, it would be called What My Faith in Jesus Means to Me. And you're going to be putting this together. And you have some guidelines, which is you have to type it out. Again, 12-point font. I don't need like super font, and it should be double spaced, and it should be about 400 to 500 words, maybe 600, but about 500. And you can go on your computer and it will tell you, how many words there are. So do that. Don't just show up like with a little bit of work that way, and I'll say, well, it looks like about 50 words. Do you count it? About 500, okay? 400 at the minimum. All right, 600 at the maximum. All right, 400 to 600, somewhere in there. But I've also given you some questions. Do not answer each of these questions in some common order. No, pick 1 or 2. All right, this should be heart talk. This should be about you, about your personality, about your life of faith, and how awesome Jesus is. All right? Don't forget to put Jesus in, or confirmation, God, Christianity. You want to connect the dots. Hey, I'm so and so. That's a great way to start your essay, by the way, which is, hi, I'm Chuck Schlee, and my life verse is Joshua 22, verse 5. Love the Lord and follow his plan for your life. Cling to him and serve him enthusiastically. That's probably already 25 words. The reason I really like this verse is blah, blah, blah. I grew up this way, blah, blah, blah. Here's how I'm going to use it in the future, blah, blah, blah. I'm really thankful for Jesus, and here's why. All kinds of things that are more about you. I would say, and this is going to be the thing that you're going to read on Testimony and Pepperoni Night. You're not going to read the research part. No. You're going to read part 2, the testimony part. It's kind of like a speech. So you're writing a speech to be heard, not writing a speech to be necessarily read. So I put together 2 examples for you. One is on this yellow piece of paper, which is based on Isaiah 43. And like I said, I wrote that one. And then I've given you another example. This one is this one's from a student, Psalm 25, verse 4. It's on the pink sheet of paper. But what you want to do is talk about you, talk about your Savior, focus on your personal thought. Give me your heart. Give me like, hey, man, good times, bad times, that kind of stuff. And again, if you get stuck along the way or have any questions, please see me, and I'll be happy to help you out, okay? Go get them. Keep it crisp. Let me know how I can help. I want this to be a cool thing, not a chore, not a big homework assignment or anything like that. But I want this to be something that you own. Own your faith. put it into writing, and then hold on to that life verse for the rest of your life and let it guide you and motivate you and inspire you and comfort you and lead you for the rest of your life. Oh, it's a good life connected to Jesus Christ. And I wish you well, and I hope you get after it. You don't blow this one off. If you want to blow something off, blow off math. Math. Who needs that? But don't blow this one off. Actually put in the time, and I think you'll be blessed through it. I know that those who hear it will be blessed, and I know that if you really do put your heart into it, that you're going to be proud of yourself. You're going to be proud of yourself, and I'm proud of you too. So if you have any questions at all, let me know. It's a 2-part assignment, and then when you're done with part 1, put part 1 at the top, research, and then you got part 2, testimony, and you get those 2 parts together, put the part 1 on top of part 2, and then staple it together, turn it in before Thanksgiving. And if you can't get it done before Thanksgiving, then get it to me as soon as you can. Work on it over Christmas. I don't know. But get it done. All right? Get it done. Get after it. You got this. I love you. I'll see you later. And keep it crisp.